And we're on it. G'day everyone, Carlos here again. This is an unscheduled live stream I'm having with my good friend Emma Gorowski and her husband Zack.
Oh, you got it right.
Of course I get it right. I'm good at pronouncing names, so that's one of maybe don't remember them, but I'm quite good at pronouncing them.
Mute my YouTube. Yeah.
Do you like to just a small introduction and we can start?
Yeah. Well, I am Emma, as he said. I just have a little YouTube channel where I talk about a bunch of different stuff, really. And I'm sure, I think you said you had my channel in the, oh yeah, you've got it there. So yeah, my channel's in the description if you want to check it out. Just talk about a bunch of crap.
Yep.
Yeah, I have my husband here with me. He doesn't normally do this stuff with me, but you're pretty interested in all the archaeology stuff too, so you know, why not tag along? And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Everyone subscribe to Emma and follow her on Twitter. I'll also put up her Twitter link in the description.
Yes.
So today we're going to take a small journey through time, basically about how we got here, our us, Homo sapiens, and I'll also be discussing a little bit about what real races means and what a real race is.
Fantastic. That should be fun.
Yep. Our journey basically. Yeah, it does, and they don't understand it. That's why I don't use the definition.
Yeah, I liked your little video you did on it a while ago. That was really good.
We are ethnic groups, and we are not a subspecies. There is no subspecies of Homo sapiens. We are all Homo sapiens. We are the subspecies. So there is no Homo sapiens Caucasoideus, for example. That doesn't exist. It's it's in my other video if you want to check it out. But our journey begins in Africa. We humans, all humans, came from Africa. I'll do a screen share of our most likely our species. His name was Homo heidelbergensis. He lived in Africa.
One I have not heard of.
Yeah, he's he's been recently fitted in because he was discovered in 1908, as you can see from the screen cap that I'm doing.
Oh, near Heidelberg, so that's why the name.
Exactly. Before we had used the designation archaic Homo sapiens, or archaic Homo sapiens, exactly. It fitted into the characterization of the characteristics of both Homo sapiens, but he didn't have the modern features we have now. As I said, he was discovered in 1908 by in the Roche sand pit just north of the village of Maua. I have a better, well, not better. This one's from the. I'll put all the links of the articles I'm going to cite in the description from the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. It's a bit basic. This page it goes into just the basic characteristics. This species, I won't be talking.
That's quite a lot taller than I would expect.
Yes, he was. Well, Homo erectus, his ancestor of this guy, was more than 1.80 meters.
Right.
Was of 1.80 meters, 1.82. So he would be almost, well, it's taller than, as tall as me or a bit taller than me. So
that's really interesting. For some reason, I always thought of them as being quite short.
No, that would be the Neanderthals. Well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But there's still a bit of controversy whether he is our ancestor. He did live also the date and range he occupied. This gives us 700,000, 200,000 years ago, but there are estimates that he could have gone to 1.3 million years back. But we're still researching
Mhm.
And but I accept that he is our ancestor, basically because
Yeah.
of the time range that he occupied, and even though he, 200,000 years ago, that's when Homo sapiens sapiens sort of began to appear on the
Mhm.
archaeological scale. He covered Africa and Asia, so he spread widely. There's no maps here that I couldn't find a good enough map, but um, the range is there. It says here Europe, possibly Asia, China, Africa, East and Southern. So basically, East and Southern is interesting because that's the cradle of humanity. Eastern Africa, the Rift Valley, and Southern
Mm.
Africa find the ancient fossils of us, and not only us, but most of our ancestors, our line. Coming back from basically Ardipithecus 4.4 to 6 million years ago, he's our real first direct ancestor of the Homo line, our line of humans. So, and they're found in those areas. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
There's a good page. Just on why isn't it working? Oh, wrong one. If you know, there's a good page from the Australian Museum that has him a bit that describes him a bit better. I'll also put the description there, and you can see his skull, how he looked like. His teeth were more, were broader than us.
Very cool.
That
Yep.
he also was one of the first to have
Huge
cavities, though. Yeah, the occipital arches
Mm.
and flattened head. Going back down, his brain capacity would be about 1100 cc's to 1200 and something cc's. So yeah. So he's.
What's
he's
ours? 1250 or?
Now ours is almost 1500.
Right. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to read more, I'll put the links in the description. The Australian Museum is quite comprehensive, and it gives you some good data and so on. Now, can you imagine these hominids? They were human. Humans defined they were human, and they did have a culture. Culture basically is what they produced and passed on and left behind. There's something
What have
weird.
they done with that?
The stone tools was their culture, that
Oh,
their
yeah.
defining culture. That's how we identify them, alongside with their anatomy, their fossil remains. The tools are left behind. That's their cultural aspects that they left behind. And whenever I hear the news of especially black culture, for example, and white culture and Asian culture, especially in the Western world, I really laugh because I'd like them to define the characteristics that differentiate, say, the black culture in the United States from the white culture. What is their defining feature that makes them different from whites, for example? Can anyone think of it? Can you think of it? What would be their defining?
I think it's you could argue that certain things are a subset of American culture, and there are several other ones. It wouldn't be just black culture, but I don't, off the top of my head, I'm not sure what I would give as
Music.
specific examples.
One of them
but
is
that's for sure.
their music, their clothes. Their clothes and how they wear their clothes, not actually their clothes, how they wear their clothes. And it's not their hair, because if they think dreadlocks are their African invention, no.
No.
I was, when I was growing up, when I was growing up, I did a little bit of Portuguese, and I was always interested in our history, especially the Roman conquest of Portugal, and we had a couple of tribes here, or a couple of ethnic groups. We had the Celts in the north, where I live. In the center, we had the Lusitanians, which were a subset of the Celtiberians, which was a mixture of the Celts and the Iberians, which was the southern part. And one of our greatest heroes, in fact, that we sort of celebrate him. And we even got our sort of nickname for Portugal from that tribe, the Lusitanians. We are Lusitania, Portugal.
Yeah.
And he wore dreadlocks, and he was quite white, and he was blonde, in fact.
Nice.
That guy. So we know that's because of the descriptions that the Romans left behind. He was, and so that's what culture is. And archaeologically, the culture is everything that humans left behind, except their bodies, their physical bodies.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a big misunderstanding of culture. You know, a lot of people talk about they don't feel like they have a culture. I see white Americans saying this. I see people in my country saying this. They don't, and they sort of, there are only specific things that they think culture is, and they don't seem to realize that it's sort of just everything about your way of life and what you do and what you produce.
Exactly. Humans everything they do is cultural. I'm not saying everything they do. I'm not saying everything they do biologically, and that's not cultural. I mean, everything they produce would be a better term, a descriptive term.
Yeah, that's a good way to.
Since Homo sapiens us evolved, we didn't have art. Well, there's now I think they think that Neanderthals also produced art. So art is basically non-functional artifacts that doesn't. A functional artifact is, say, a tool that has a function of either like a blade cut, an axe to break the bones and cut wood, of course. A scraper to scrape blades.
Early on, you see people fusing those two things. You know, taking a functional artifact but putting decorative touches onto it.
That would become later. Yes, absolutely.
For so long, have this desire to make stuff look good.
Yeah, but that's been shown to be one of the defining characteristics of Homo sapiens sapiens. But now the Neanderthals have also been shown to possess that faculty, and both in southern, there's a cave that Neanderthals lived in, and it's decorated. There's also another one. I don't have the link here, where they in the cave they use stalactites to delineate certain zones of the cave. That's culture. That's a cultural, non-functional aspect of their culture. It's not unique. It's just surprising. So, yeah, and Neanderthals were the first that we know of to bury their dead. Around 200, 250, from this is at the top of my head, around 200, 250,000 years ago. Some other caves. No, let's see. Wait. It's Mount Carmel. That's why I love that Israel. One of the reasons I love Israel, it's got so much Neanderthal and human sites there. Sites.
Cool. I don't know why, but for some reason I didn't realize that they got that far across. That far east.
Who?
Neanderthals.
What? Sorry? Neanderthals in what? In range?
Yeah.
Or in? Oh, I'll show you a map. This is a map that I was going to show a bit later.
But actually, now that I think of it, I remember you telling us a while ago about some sites in Israel.
Yes.
So
Here is basically something I was also going to talk about. Another new species which was discovered in 2008, the Denisovans. But you can see the dots represent the genetic markers that they found of modern humans, us, today, and the distribution of the Neanderthals and their genetic material, right?
So which covers which?
This is the ancestry. The black dots are Neanderthals.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have any.
Yeah.
The black dots are the Neanderthal gene markers in modern human species, us, modern human today. The green to red are the Denisovans.
Right. Okay.
And I'll be talking about that in a little bit.
Oh, we've got some in NZ.
Yes, the high percentage in Australasia and southern India of Denisovan genetic markers, the genetic genes, those genes from those peoples, that new humans, that we discovered them before the actual artifacts. And we only have 3 artifacts from the Denisovans. There's 2 teeth and a small bit of a phalange. 2 molars, and we've discovered that we extracted the DNA, the mitochondrial DNA, and then we went back and searched the databases for modern humans and gave us this map. Here, more or less, where Pakistan, southern Iraq, Iran, in Pakistan, Afghanistan, that's, and going up to the Russians.
You've got a real mess up there of the green and black dots.
Yes, exactly. That's where Neanderthals, modern humans, and Denisovians mixed. That is the crossroads. But you can see that to the east, there's no Neanderthal DNA at all. To the west, there's no Denisovan.
Yeah.
And in that little mixing pot, you have the three species mixing. That is what you call race. There were 3 races of humans living around 60,000 years ago on Earth, and you can see by these dots where their distribution was. We had this is a race is basically a subspecies of a species. So we have Homo sapiens, which is us. We are the subspecies of Homo sapiens. Back then you had Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, and we had Homo sapiens denisovan, but the name still isn't completely settled because we still don't know about the Denisovans. And so it's either Homo sapiens Denisovans or Homo or Sapiens Altai SP.
Where were they first discovered?
In this little cave from this little cave in Siberia. I'll get up as soon as come on, what's it? Why not working? Go on. Little cave in Siberia. Evans.
And that was only in 2008?
Yes. Let's see if this one shows up the where it is. This cave. It's in southern Siberia in the Altai Mountains. The modern humans, Neanderthals, and they found those 3 fragments of the Denisovans. Yeah, that's it was basically a freak discovery. The Denisovans do have molars bigger than ours. So
okay.
So that's all we have of them, isn't it?
Yeah, for now the Denisovans only those 3 fragments. There's a couple of
is it a lack of exploration that we don't have more of them, or is there just nothing left?
No, most probably that, because the Altai Mountains is quite new. New excavations they're having now. So I'll just stop. Oh, I wasn't presenting that. I'll just stop sharing this.
So we just haven't dug around enough, basically.
No. Go on.
I was just going to say, though, it's sort of in one way, it's kind of sad that we haven't found them before, but on the other hand, it's exciting to be still finding stuff.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Since 2008, there's been just an explosion of excavation in that area, the Altai Mountains, and into China. Because one of the tooth was, the molars was excavated in 2008. And it was in the museum in I think it was the Max Planck Institute, or that's where they got the DNA in one of the Russian Museum Natural History or something, and they went back, and while they were looking back at the material that they found, they noticed that the tooth was a bit bigger than normal, so the molar. So when they analyzed the DNA of that tooth, they found that it was Denisovan. So they have probably in museums in Europe, in Russia, many of their material remains. It's just that they probably haven't been fully identified yet.
True.
Yeah. Okay. There could be a lot of reclassification work in the future potentially.
Oh, there is. I'll show you what from the National History of the Australian Museum, all the different people. One thing that that now that many, for example, the creationists say, oh, we don't have enough material in that, but we do. I'll show you the list of the family of our family tree.
It will be so interesting to see where it goes with the Denisovans, what we find out about them in the future, because if you think about the Neanderthals, you know, we've known that they existed for a long time, but there's been so much, you know, that we've discovered about them over time, that we've learnt about them, where, you know, people had a very particular perception about them at one point that has been shown to be completely false.
Yes, exactly. Before, when they were first discovered, Neanderthals, they were considered brutes and half apes and all that. Even the drawings that they made of them were quite gorilla-like and chimpanzee-like. But now you just have to look at my avatar with the glasses. That's the thinking Neanderthal. That was the reconstruction, of a reconstruction, the facial reconstruction. We can do that now quite well of a Neanderthal. And yes, he has a sloping forehead, but imagine here, he hasn't got a chin either. So with a beard, you would be hard pressed to distinguish him, except for his really wide nose, from modern humans. He would be short.
For so long, we've perceived them as being extremely unintelligent, and the Neanderthal features, the facial features, when we see something similar in a modern human today, we tend to think that that person has a kind of an unintelligent or a stupid look about them.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And, you know, we've found out that they actually weren't like that. But we still have that stereotype about, you know, and we see someone with a really prominent brow ridge like that, we'll say like, oh, they're a Neanderthal in a derogatory way.
Yeah, but
it'll be really interesting to see what we find out about the Denisovans.
Exactly. Neanderthals actually had a bigger brain capacity than ours. They were on the upper end of 1500 cc's, 1.5 liter brains, while we are the highest 1460, 1470 cc's.
Yeah, what do you think of? I've heard a few people, I don't know what your opinion of this will be, but that's what I'm interested in. But I've heard a few people give a theory that they were as intelligent as us, or more intelligent than us, but they just weren't as violent. They were more peaceful, and that's why they didn't survive and we did.
We can't actually at the moment extrapolate behavior from the fossil finds, but they did practice cannibalism.
Yeah, it's always to me seemed a bit.
Yeah. They did practice cannibalism. That was one of the first videos.
That's probably not a good idea.
No. All.
But I mean, I guess lots of humans did that as well. So
we did that. Modern humans did that until the 16th. Well, until the white man missionary, Christian missionary, tamed them, quote unquote, with a disdain of those quote unquote shit that I just quoted. I have disdain for that. So
well,
not that I say that they were
doing it here until quite advanced times. So
I don't know. The Maoris, I don't think they were cannibalistic, but the
I mean, hashtag not all, but it's definitely a cultural practice for many.
There were recorded incidents of it happening in very limited times.
The
It
Papua
was
New
also a
Guineans
part
were.
of. It was something you did when you had, defeated somebody.
Yeah, if you had defeated a great warrior, then you would cut out his heart and cook it, and you would take in his mana, and that would be a ritual that you would perform after a great combat or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they did perform cannibalism, the Neanderthals, as well, as I said, and they didn't just do that. I showed evidence that they would then modify the actual bones of their. I'm not going to say victims because I think it may have been. I'll explain it in my video. Times of in Spain, it was because of their extreme hardship.
Right. Yeah.
But in other parts, it could be.
I mean, they have there are reports of cannibalism due to hardship in like 20th century Russia, so we can't really judge them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No. I don't judge
Yeah.
them. Well, I find it abhorrent, cannibalism, but I don't judge
Yeah,
it.
of course. Yeah.
Because our human nature in times of extreme need does extreme things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the only point I was making, was that we always go to these kinds of extremes when we're in an extreme situation.
Exactly. Coming back to the violence thing, before agriculture, violence was very, very punctual and very, very contained. It would not be tribe versus tribe. It could be most likely between individuals, or one or two individuals against one, something like that. But it was just there weren't enough of us to warrant that. And I'm talking about us, Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, everyone before agriculture. So there just wasn't enough humans on Earth that they knew that if they were too violent, they would die out. They would just go extinct.
Yeah.
They wouldn't. So yeah. So here's the list of all the family of us we know.
Yeah, I was just looking at it a second ago, and I was thinking it's so crazy that you have creationists who go on about, where is the missing link? Show me the missing link. You guys haven't found the missing link, and there's a huge list of links.
I say to them, "You want to see the missing link?" And they will say, "Yes." Look in the mirror. We are transitional species ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
So, what we have in the artifact records there is a snapshot of a transitional species, of a missing link. That's all. Of course, there are spaces, but we have filled them up since I left Australia.
There's nothing you can
I'll
say.
show you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Since I left Australia, this one was described, the Sahelanthropus chadensis. He is the flat-faced ape from Chad, more or less.
Yeah.
Another one, Ororin tugenensis, when I was studying the tribe. Ardipithecus species, we renamed. Ardipithecus is basically quite new, because Ardipithecus cadabra and ramidus were recently discovered. They ranged from about 4 million to 2 million. No, 6 to 4.4 million years ago. They were discovered in the Rift Valley in Ethiopia, and we have 46 complete individuals. They were possibly the ancestors of Lucy. Everyone knows who Lucy is.
Oh, okay.
They were most likely, and it's almost certain, the ancestors of Lucy's, but not quite. We're still trying to figure it out, because there are some things which are not quite fitting there. But in fact, that they even lived more or less. They're probably the Australopithecus afarensis they're quite almost the range where they the range in time where they lived is very no, not close, a bit wide, because we haven't found anyone in another fossil in between. So yeah, most of these I don't know. The Ardipithecus I didn't know about. I knew about the Australopithecus, Manensis, Afarensis. These are South African versions of Lucy. The Gari, Barrel Ghazali, and Africanus, and Sabida. There's still not consensus if they are separate species or just variations of an individual species.
Isn't it, where you delineate?
Exactly, yeah. Then we have Paranthropus genus, which were the old Australopithecus robustus, which was they lived the same times of Lucy and Africa, more or less before Homo erectus, which I'll come on to that. And they were fruit and nut eaters. They were specialized. They were specialized in eating fruits and nuts, like the gorillas are today.
Right.
Then we came on to Homo habilis. By the way, Lucy and Ramidus, Ardipithecus ramidus, ate meat.
Okay.
We know that they ate meat. But Homo habilis was the first ones to actually produce stone tools. But I'm sure that the ones before that had wooden tools. But of course they
would. Of course we don't know.
Exactly. They didn't survive.
But it would make sense that would be a stage that you would get to before developing stone tools.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
After that, we have that absolutely seems to be
not everything
that would have to be the case.
You need really, even for bone, which bone can calcify quickly if you're given the right conditions, but other materials, you need super exceptional conditions to fossilize, and that's why we don't have enough, because fossilization is so hard for it to happen.
Yeah.
After the Australopithecines and the Ardipithecines, we come to the Homo species. Have habilis, the first one to make tools. That's why we call him habilis. We called him habilis because we found the culture. Now we're coming into culture. Was the older one culture? The older one stone tools. They were huge. No, they were stones that had 3 or 4 flakes chipped off them to make a small cutting edge, which could be used to butcher a prey, or not a prey, because they were scavengers most likely. So that's the older. That's the older one culture. Homo rudolfensis and Augusta. They could be variations of Homo erectus, as well as or not. We don't. I don't know. I haven't read enough about them. I know about Homo erectus from Java man, from Peking man. So he ranged from Africa all over the world. He was the first one to leave Africa. But there's now some you can say a spanner was thrown into the works. In a castle or a medieval structure, castle, hilltop, something in Georgia, the country, not the state, for the Americans listening out there. They were digging and they found a grass soil. A grass soil means heavy built, but a lightweight built human species, which I think is Rudolfensis or Augusta, I'm not too sure, and dated to 1.2 million years, 1.2 million years ago. So he would have been contemporary with Homo antecessor. Can't say that word.
Antecessor.
Antecessor, thank you. I can say it better when I'm slightly inebriated. I don't know why my tongue just gets.
It's often the way I find.
Yes. And then we came to Homo heidelbergensis, there's not consensus, but I won't say I believe. No, I don't believe. I suspect that the more we uncover, he is our Pesisaur and heidelbergensis gave rise to Neanderthals, modern humans, and
Right. So you're saying there would be sort of two branches from them, one being the Neanderthals and one being the Homo sapiens?
And another one being the Denisovians, yeah.
And the Denisovians, yeah. Cool.
And just to even confuse the waters more, during the DNA analysis that they were using to find Denisovan, they discovered the DNA of a mysterious fourth hominid.
Is that the Florine?
No. That's totally different. Florensis.
I just remember I went to a whole lecture about them once, not too long after.
Florisensis or Hobbit Man.
Yeah, they
were the Hobbit people. That's right.
They evolved from Homo erectus. It's almost
right.
established that they evolved from Homo erectus, and so yeah, that's our family. But coming back to Neanderthal, my favorite hominid.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he is. Because 17 years ago, when National Geographic was actually still good, and not at least on television, the television show. That's not too bad. It's still too sensationalized now. They offered a kit. It cost $100. They offered a kit that you could have your DNA analyzed. I sent the kit, and I have got back the results. Not even 1% more ish in me. Or Northern African, one very residual. Mostly Celtic, some Germanic, the Swabians, the Visigothians, and that.
Yeah.
But I have 3.521% Neanderthal DNA in me.
That's awesome. I want to do that. My grandma did something like that recently. So of course, my maternal grandmother. So of course that gives me a window into what a quarter of me is made of. But it didn't tell you what the percentage of Neanderthal was. It just told you what different areas from the world you came from. And that was very interesting. But yeah, I obviously have 3 other quarters that I'd love to see what's included in.
You'll have them, most likely. Europeans have up to 4%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my favorite hominid. You can see him. Look at this picture. This is another one. I'll see if I can stretch it up so everyone can see. Yeah, you can see he would pass unobtrusively in modern society. He was dressed up.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, you'd be styled differently, but yeah, if you did that, I don't see why not.
He has slightly raised eyebrows. His beard hides his lack of chin.
You see the occasional person that has that, you know.
Exactly. Yes. Especially, I think the chinless people, the one that have that weak chin type, that's one of the possibly the recessive gene that made the chin weak.
Yeah, and the brow thing too. And
the brow
I don't normally like beards, but if you do have that type of chin, then they can be a good option. Yeah. It does hide it.
Of course, their forehead would be sloping back, and the back of their skulls would be protruding back as well, because that's how their anatomy was made up of. They also had a high percentage of gingers.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting.
My husband is actually a ginger, so
Ever so slightly.
he claims to be strawberry blonde, but no, he's ginger. So that's really interesting. I like gingers.
The Irish
I like
side.
them as well. Yeah. So you know, Zach, I love gingers. So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
Of course, I don't like some gingers, especially those fucking idiots. That, you know who I mean? What's his name?
No?
He was in a he had a fitness program, exercise type thing. What's his name? I fucking forgot his name.
I don't know.
God,
Not
he was an
familiar with
American.
that one.
He was American. Oh, he's old.
Okay.
Or ginger. Who changed his sex now?
Oh.
Copper Cab. Copper Cab. I also don't like him. He's now it's what's his, Claire Cab. So,
Never heard of him.
Never heard of that one.
Slash her. I don't know.
look up Copper
In
Cab.
general, I like gingers. I'm sure they have their bad apples, like every other.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes. I love the curly hair, the long curly locks. That even the men, shit. I can say that I'm comfortable with my sexuality. So
That's fantastic. I
yeah,
respect
so I can
that.
say that. But yes, they did. They found the gene from analyzing, because we've been analyzing the DNA of Neanderthals now for about a decade. We've fully mapped it. That's why we know the percentages, and a lot of weird shit's they've been posting online, which is a bit weird. One of them was that they couldn't breed with humans because of the XY.
Who could it?
The Neanderthals with humans, with modern humans.
I thought that they did.
They did, exactly, but this study said they couldn't because the genes didn't match. The XY with the Y gene didn't match. Okay, but the X genes could match. X you can still have female hybrids,
Right.
and the female Neanderthals could breed with the male Homo sapiens.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you couldn't have a male
with a female, and they couldn't bring boys into viable male children, but they could get more viable female children.
Yeah.
That study made me laugh because they just focused solely on one aspect. No, they forgot the broader picture.
Yeah.
And that's weird. But I love these guys. They had ginger. They possibly had they were lighter skinned than this represents.
So what it says that of all the cross-racial sex that was going on, only a small subset of that was actually resulting in a live child.
Yeah, well,
that subset
of course
would have happened.
Yeah, because this is where race comes into question. Now, there were 3 subspecies of Homo sapiens, but they could interbreed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dog. The dogs, wolves can breed. Yeah. Wolf is a separate species. Can breed with modern dogs. Can breed with coyotes. It's a mess in the United States. They are having hybrid of dog, wolf, coyotes. Oh, horrific! Like a Franken dog or something. I even actually saw a news article titled that way when they were describing those hybrids. Weird. Yeah. So that's the 3 subspecies of a race. These were 3 races interbreeding, as it's shown in our genetic material. That's what race is. Anything else is ethnicity.
There's somebody in the chat that's saying he's never seen a pictorial depiction of a Neanderthal female, which I think I may have at some point, but it's definitely a lot less common of a thing to see.
Because Google is a friend.
Google's great.
So many times people seem to forget it exists.
We go to images.
Yeah, I mean, it is mainly dudes. Hey, there's you.
Wait for it. Yeah, because Google's sexist. Well, we have here.
This is systemic sexism, right?
Yeah, we have this one. We have here this one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we are.
What else? We have this one. This one is not. Child from Gibraltar, yes. This one is not. This one's I don't know what this is. This is a modern ginger. But you can see that they're representing
Yeah.
the
She
blonde,
looks very modern.
yeah, blonde, and the ginger gene.
Yeah.
So you can find the female depiction. These,
Yeah.
this one is so everyone can get. This one is as well. She's from. She looks quite beautiful. I can see why. That's what the guy said from Pinterest. This one, but this is what it Neanderthal is. You can see the brow ridges, lack of chin, and a sloping forehead. Where else? What else?
She almost has a bit of a Shakira look, that one.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Trying to find another one that they showed an older lady. Many of these are not real. So this one, I think it's the one.
Yeah.
And child, yeah. So there's a better picture. Well, it's crappy, but
Cool.
my net's a bit slow today. Oh shit! I want the picture. There we go.
No worries.
You can see the Neanderthal and child. So yeah, there is. So see, just Google it. It's easy to find. I found it in 2 clicks and a bit.
People do always typically use the male to demonstrate though. #sexism.
Yes, but that's Google's fault for not indexing the images better, because there are almost on par the male female skeletal remains of Neanderthal, modern humans, Homo erectus, and shit. Even Homo nealdi, the one which lived the Ardipithecus way, from 6 million to 4.4 million. They found 36 individuals. They found 2 children. They found almost. There was slightly more males than females, because, of course, the skeletal remains of a male are a bit more thicker, so they could survive a little bit better. That's basically it. Nature is sexist.
That's another thing I've never thought about before, but now that you mention it, makes complete sense, because I have known that about men's bodies in general, but never kind of put the two together.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah. Very cool.
So this from the Australian Museum, skull. This one's one of the oldest skulls we have. Compared to this one, that's how we'll view full size. Compared to this guy here, this complete skeleton, Lemostur from France, and
very nice.
25,000 years ago, you can see is better constructed. They have a really good interactive feature, which you can see a virtual skull rotating and that. But download it on. I don't have that. If you want, if you on the chat and everything, want to go there to that site, it's really interesting. And coming back to the culture, Le Mosturier is a cave and also a culture, because Neanderthals had Mosturian, let me think, Magdalenian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They were cultures, and they identify them by the type of arrows and flints and shit they have. They get more sophisticated towards the modern, towards our time.
Sure.
Acheulean, they were Homo erectus. Homo erectus, the Acheulean culture, which were huge 1.5 to 2 kilogram stone bifacial stone axe heads. A quick Google search. My spelling.
Oh yeah.
Look at the size. Look at the comparison of man's hand with the axe.
Shit, that's pretty large.
Yeah. It was a Swiss army of stone tools. You had a sharp point, cutting edge along here. You guys, oh shit! I'm sharing.
Yeah.
It had a cutting edge along here. Behind you had the flat to hold or even to hammer stuff. It could also be thrown, according to some studies. The weighting of it was so perfect. They've actually measured it. Well, if you throw it long ways, like you throw an underarm throw, like you throw bocce, it would go point forward. It's fucking weird. I don't know why they throw it like that. It wouldn't have enough terminal velocity to do much harm, but maybe, God, I don't know why they do. They said, maybe to kill small animals. They threw it if
Small
they were
bird.
birds, possibly. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
They were huge, and they were bifacial. They were chipped on both sides. This is a scraper, the middle one. That's used to scrape, as the name implies. Scrape everything that they want, and possibly to cut, because some of them had quite a good sharp edge. Flint is a marvelous tool, marvelous material. I wish I had some. I can't find some anyhow. Yeah, this the Masturian was one of the cultures of the Neanderthals. We don't know what's his name. Denisovans did yet, because we don't have. It's still new. We're just still discovering. So yeah, we would then come around 45,000, roughly 45,000, 50,000 years ago. Modern humans arrived in Europe. They were in the Middle East, the Arabian Peninsula. They were in Western Asia, like what modern day Iran, up to the Russian steppes. Well, they couldn't get too far, but by then, where Paris is, there would have been a 1.5 kilometer wall of ice. That's the extent of the glaciers. They would, during the lifetime of the Neanderthals, 400,000, during the range of time of the Neanderthals, 400,000 to 40,000, there were at least three glacial maximums. 3, and we were the fourth. We were the last one after they would become extinct around 28,000 years ago, the last glacial maximum. Just so everybody knows, we are still in the Ice Age. When we hear the Ice Age ended, no, we are in an interstitial period, a warming phase. It happened many times. It happened 3 times when the Neanderthals were on Earth. So,
yeah.
That wall of ice would shrink back to southern, central Germany as a reference, more or less where Bonn is now. No, where Berlin is.
Yeah.
And then it come back to the most furthest it gone. If anyone knows France, just south of France, there's Tours. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
The most extreme glacial period we had. I think it was about 280,000 years ago. So, and just going back to Homo heidelbergensis, this guy was the first human to have characteristics for the cold weather. And what were they? A broad nose, which would heat the air, like the Neanderthals, they can see that Neanderthals also had a broad nose. That was a measurement of a characteristic to survive cold weather temperature. And they were the first to know, they weren't the first to, that we know that they used fire. They were the first that we have evidence of controlling fire, actually making fire. And butchering large animals. And there's a whole lot of things, firsts that we find out. So, yeah. Neanderthal, but we'll call him a hybrid, was discovered in Portugal, in south from me, but it's more or less central Portugal, in a city called Leiria, in a valley of Lapedo. He's been nicknamed the Lapedo child. 28,000 years he's been dated to, and he has been shown to be a hybrid Homo sapiens Homo sapiens Neanderthalensis. Eric Trinkhaus, a really quite prominent American archaeologist, and our own João Zilhão, who is the director of archaeology at the Barcelona University of Natural History or Archaeology, or whatever. He's there. Yeah. So yeah. And we've reached Homo sapiens, us. This is quite good. Insert your face there. So we have spread everywhere. Everywhere, actually everywhere. Shit, I've forgotten that map. If I can find it. This was where I was going to bring forward the map of what is it? The map of which showed the distributions between of humans, Neanderthals, modern humans, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, or whatever is it? Current, no, shit, I forgot it. It's probably here. History. Well,
oh yeah, of course.
It's gone. Never mind. I closed it, I think. I know, probably here. Let's see if it's here. Yep, never mind. If I'll put the link, I'll find it and I'll put the links to those to that, because it's funny how talking about modern race, we'll go into the Black Lives Matter thing, discussing that is there. There have been really weird theories. You guys have all absolutely heard them, of them saying that they are Native Americans. They were the descendants of the
Weewers Kangs and
Kangs. Native Americans were blacks, black Africans, which is weird,
and
because
everyone since has just been trying to cover this up.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Except that they, I'll stop sharing this for a sec. They lack the two genes. No, they lack two. The Africans lack two genes that at least the Native Americans have one of the genes, or a set of genes. Denisovans. Native Americans have a percentage of Denisovan DNA in it. Quite small, up to 1%.
And I guess people of African descent wouldn't have that, obviously.
No, they don't. They can claim, they are pure humans, but human Homo sapiens. I'll give them that. I won't. I'm not that arrogant. But they also descended from someone, and this is who I think all humans descended from. I'll just try and find it. I'll try and get a good image. Oh, this one's fun. They descended from these people. And I believe all modern humans descended from these people, for a simple fact that they share every characteristic physical characteristics that you find in
The
all
sand
human
people.
ethnic groups. This is the first example I brought up. You can see more of them here.
Yeah.
Just search the San peoples of Southern Africa. They have eyes that look very Asian, don't they? You
Mm-hmm.
can see another example. This guy, he has that I don't know what that called, that growth, fatty growth
Monolith.
that makes. Thank you, exactly. He has another lady, right?
Yeah.
They have the broad nose of the Africans, modern Africans, but they also have, some of them are slightly more gracile nose. I'm using gracile, which is a term for meaning petite,
Oh,
not
okay.
as archaeological. They range their skin. They're quite slight, but their skin
Mm-hmm.
can darken,
Mm-hmm.
lighten. I won't put any nude pictures because it could get a copyright strike or whatever.
Yeah.
They have hair. They have hair that could be that. The hair that could be. This is dreadlock. No, yeah. Look at this one. Ancient Black China. Whatever. I think, but you can see that the hair could be long and straight, or short and curly, or whatever. So, but the curly bits, the straight hair that modern humans could have gotten when they got in contact with Neanderthals and or Denisovans. So that could be a characteristic, and the blue eyes as well when they mated with Neanderthal, which had the ginger gene and the light-colored genes, and that gene that could have also lightened up the other Northern Europeans could have done that.
Yeah.
So
what
they wouldn't have
countries are
problem.
these people in again?
Who? Sorry, I didn't hear
The
that.
San?
The sand, they have all the physical characteristics that you can find in any ethnic group on Earth.
But today,
Look at this
what
one.
countries are they in?
Yeah, look at this one. They live in
Yeah.
Southern Africa. Yeah,
Namibia,
they're the Khoisan people.
Botswana.
Namibia. Yeah.
That girl's
Look
gorgeous,
at
and she
this.
looks like she could be
Asian.
Chinese or something, almost.
Yes. If it wasn't for the lips and the nose, which is slightly.
Yeah.
But yes, that's and black Africans evolved from these people.
Yeah.
Because the further you go to, the closer you get to the equator, the darker the skin you get. So there is another theory which I don't know. I haven't read enough about it. That I have to find the map because this is quite interesting. There was a remixing back genetic material from the Middle East back into Africa. Let me see if I can find it. It basically states that the humans from especially the San people, the Middle East, more or less, because they've found some genetic markers. I don't know which ones because I haven't read enough into it. Between modern humans, that they migrated down into the where they are now, around 20,000 years ago, some date. I'm reading off the top of my head. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
I'm still non-committal. I can't find it.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but it sort of goes against. It's not that it couldn't happen, of course it could, but it's against everything that everyone sort of accepts.
Yeah, exactly. If they can prove it unequivocally, I'll accept it, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they prove it, peer reviewed it, everything. Oh, that's excellent. That's awesome. It just shows how dynamic our species is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't prove anything against another. It just says here's something we are even better at.
Yeah.
So that's how I view our species. I don't. I've shown that there aren't races, and that we are ethnically diverse. And any modern Africans, black Africans who have any of the DNA from the Neanderthals or Denisovans, it's because they mixed with either North Europeans or Asians, which has happened. Shit, Portugal, not even that. The Arabs, they easily took Neanderthal genetic markers down into sub-Saharan Africa, except that many idiot race bigots. I'm not going to use the term racist. They're bigots. Don't see that, and it's just me.
Yeah.
We've been gone for an hour, and yeah. Shit, our surprise guests didn't arrive, so they won't be mentioned. If they
That's
do
all right.
come on, we'll continue. I can go on for another hour, but we can talk about anything
sweet.
else. I can. Oh, I know. I can talk about why I hate farming, and why I blame social justice warriors on farming.
Okay.
Give
Well,
it a go.
a little bit of history before that. I always get into the history. That's to prove stuff. End of the last glaciation period, glaciational maximum happened about. I'm using from the dates from today, from modern times, 12,000 years ago. In the area of the Levant, which is from the from the Taurus Mountains in Turkey down into Syria, Israel, Jordan, the Mesopotamian area, and also isolated in area in Egypt, the Nile Valley.
Yeah.
This is what Vigord and Child, famous Australian archaeologist, postulated, and also Binford has also shown to be more or less. It's a hypothesis. It's being tested, so it's not actually a theory yet. So it's a hypothesis. It's being tested.
Yeah.
Due to the concentrations of well, after the glacial period, the Earth, in Europe, Middle East, and that became a bit dry and wet periods, decade long. So he postulated that during those dry periods and wet periods, the humans and animals concentrated, and because so they were dying of hunger and that, they started looking at ways to keep, probably by accident, keep pen animals into an enclosure and feed them. Beginning of domestication. They would also have noticed that once they'd harvest grains. That's where all modern grains came from. Well, not all modern. Wheat, Emma, not you, Emma, Emmer, E-M-E-R, instead of E. Emma wheat, rye, and a few other cereal grains came from that area. They'd harvest them, but as usual, some would fall on the earth. Somebody would have noticed that the year later that, hey, shit, we cut this here, but they're growing again. And someone could have experimented. We don't know. So they would start just selecting that grain because they knew that they probably said this one grows well. And so as time went by, they modified it. They genetically modified that plant. Did you see the wordplay I just used?
Mm-hmm.
Genetically modified organism. GMO.
Nice.
We did that.
Yeah.
By selective artificial selection. Yeah. Except then it took a long time. Now it takes seconds to do that.
Yeah. Zack argues with anti-GMO people a lot, and he always tells them, we've always done this.
Yeah.
Basically, everything you eat right now that you think is not genetically modified, it actually has been to get to that point that it is.
Exactly. All fruit trees, modern fruit trees, have been genetically modified.
When you see pictures of like the way that bananas or other things, apples used to look, it's unrecognizable.
The crab tree, the crab apple tree, that's possibly how the original apples were, and they were
That was
small.
that was the closest thing that I could compare it to.
Yeah.
And you have to have to actually eat them to get some sweetness into them. They actually have to be frozen. I mean, frost had to touch them a lot.
It's really amazing to think about the just extensive process of trial and error that people have gone
and a lot of deaths as well.
Yeah, all the not just the sort of shape and size and quality of apple that we have now, but all the different varieties and
varieties.
Yeah.
And they're all hybrids. All modern fruit is a hybrid. All of it. Even if they haven't been the bad word GMO touched, they are hybrids. Whether they admit it or not, they are. They're hybrids of other, because the potato is a hybrid of what. There are 4,000 species of potatoes in the South America, the Andes region. We only cultivate a handful of them. But we've hybrided all those others to get to these ones now. Because wild potato, if it's green, it is actually poisonous.
It'll kill you.
It has to mature. It has to ripen before you can eat it.
Yeah.
So then generations pass. We reached then a point where we cannot go back into hunter-gathering. Before that, we would hunter-gather as well as farm. I'm using the farm generally. Farming is harvesting grain, harvesting food, and domesticating animals and that.
Yeah.
Poultry. So we reached that point where that was a very critical point, because then we were subject to mass starvation. Before that, we didn't have mass starvation, because we could always go back to hunting and gathering reliably. But then we settled in to areas, and we had to protect those areas for our livelihood, our food. That gave rise to social stratification.
Yeah.
Because someone had to organize it.
Yeah.
We had basic social stratification in hunter-gatherers, but it was more due to that good hunter, or a wise person, or even the shaman, because there were shamans in the quote-unquote medicine person. Now, agriculture, due to its highly intensive work that you have to put into it, there is where we got the gender roles. I hate that word.
I think, it's gotten kind of poisoned, but it is a thing.
It is a thing, exactly, but they've poisoned it. The gender roles, where the women would have taken care of the children, raised in that. They did that before, but before they had no real work. Women would hunt, help in the hunt. They'd butcher, they'd help everything. They would. You can even in today's some of today. Well, not today's, because everyone's been quote unquote domesticated. But when in the 60s and 50s and 60s, there were Aboriginal tribes which still practiced their traditional way of life. They'd hunt together.
Yeah.
While the men would go out hunting kangaroos, the women and the children and the old people would scatter on the landscape, harvesting, killing small game. So the workload was equal. But with agriculture, it can't be equal, because if the man has to, if you have to plow the field with a hand plow, not a hand plow, a hand shovel, you need to be really, really, really strong, and it would take day of you on your knees before the hoe was invented later on. Even wooden hoes, HOE, not the other hoes.
That's all right, I got you. It would be funny, like, if you're talking about it in the other sense, before the hoe was invented.
Exactly. So they would be on their knees, and they'd dig with basically almost with their hands, like digging with your hands. Women can do have stamina, but not that type of stamina. Our sexual dimorphism, just men are stronger. It's natural.
Yeah.
So you see that it gave rise to both the gender roles, that women did certain lighter work while the men would be the heavier work. For
And it
example,
makes sense. Like
pastoralism.
I'm a person that's like, I'm not for those, now in today's world, I'm for people doing all kinds of different things, whatever the fuck they want, But it makes sense why those roles evolved at that time.
It was just out of necessity. They couldn't handle the women could plant. They could help in the planting, and they could also help in the harvesting. But in the intermediate work, it would be basically manual labor, and the men had to do that until much later when we began to mechanize it. But by then, society had been structured into those established roles. So you see what I mean? The cooking and that, and it's because So once we have the small local group, extended family, and not just extended family, with agriculture, the next stage of social stratification was the creation of the tribe. A tribe is not just a family. Tribe is all related family members. A tribe can be a few different families living together and working together. That's a tribe. They identify with themselves. A tribe could be identified by how they make their pots, how they make their, how they wore their hair, how they even, not how they spoke. That would be very closely related to the people around them, the other now tribes around them. But now we get to a point where some tribes lived in a better zone. They had produced more to eat, had a surplus of food, so they had a explosion in population, and because they needed to defend that area from jealous neighbors, or more than one. Agriculture already gave rise to organized warfare. Not just raiding parties, but you can still have raiding parties in primitive agricultural areas like in Papua New Guinea and in the Solomon Islands and that. That's how you can imagine 6,000 years ago. Before, just at the end of the period we call the pre-pottery Neolithic. There was A and B. When pottery was developed, because ceramics had been used already in the 32,000 years ago by us in what is now the Czech Republic. They found the cooked Venus figurine, cooked ceramic, made of ceramic instead of stone and ivory and wood. So so we have organized warfare, because you need to say, let's attack him. We need to organize. So that's organized warfare. It's not just a raiding party as well. By chance they're walking down the landscape and they say, oh, look, let's attack them. No, this was organized. That greater populated one would win battles, of course. More populations would win battles, so they could the neighbors. Firstly, they'd wipe them out, possibly, but then they could incorporate them. If a neighbor said, oh, another neighbor is attacking us, could you, that are bigger, defend us, will pay you some grain, some tax. See, taxation comes into play now. Some people say taxation is bad. Some people say taxation is good. I'm saying it's necessary. I think it's necessary.
I agree, yeah.
To have what we have.
I'm
see, even then, this is not statist. Even then, that because there was no state yet.
Of course, you can abuse it, but yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I agree
but and I argue that against the state, are giving them now an example of taxation before there was a state.
Yeah.
And the state arose because that more powerful tribe.
People have always been able to say, I'll do something for you if you pay me.
Exactly, that's a tax.
It's a very basic concept.
Yeah, it's a tax. Even though buying stuff without all the other VATs, and that's a tax. They're taxing you for that money. definition. So the state arose because that stronger tribe conquered the surrounding tribes, and we have one leader now. He has the social stratification from the pyramidal. In the pyramid shape, you have the leader. You have his a leader and possibly a shaman, which doesn't have to be the family of. He has respect, fear, and stuff because he knows the afterlife and that shit. That's religion. But religion goes back to the Neanderthals when they buried their dead. So it's not a modern concept. Organized religions are a modern concept, but I won't get into that. We have the state that has the head of the state, the head of the chief, the whatever. Below him are the warrior class, the ones that fight. Below them, because in an agricultural society, you have so much food, people don't need to work at producing food. They could buy food by making stuff.
Yeah.
They could specialized in making the utensils, specializing in making the pottery to store, specialized in making other stuff. Specialized, which came later, writing down and taking stock. And then we have from writing we have knowledge, preserved knowledge, because up until then it was word of mouth, transmitted from person to person by storytelling and all that shit.
Yeah.
So you can see that we got to that part. We got to the language, writing, organized warfare, the state, and then we have reactionary forces, which came this last century. W's. You see, agriculture led to SJWs.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
I hate agriculture basically because of that. Okay, they can say, oh yeah, but we have an internet and you're on the internet and you have modern medicine and all that. And agriculture, when we adopted agriculture, the life expectancy was about 35, 40 years old. And that's quite conservative. That's quite pushing the limit. In hunter-gatherers, it would be in the 60s, 50s, 60s easily. You'd be more like the likelihood of you dying would be more in a hunting accident or an occasional disease, which occurred. Yeah, but in generally they were healthier. They had a much more varied food. Caries and tooth decay and stuff was very rare. Not uncommon, not unknown, but uncommon. They did have time, much more time for leisure activities, which seems weird because you say, oh, they hunt. They have to hunt, and they're making what's that word? Eking a living. No, they would hunt once every 2 days. They could even less. In the Neanderthals could hunt once during a 2-3 week period, get 3, 4, 5 mammoths, can preserve the meat by drying it and smoking it, and have food for the rest of their year. See, they would store it in the caves hanging. I'm postulating this. We don't have evidence of that, but we know that from comparative analysis, they would easily have known to have dried food. Modern humans did that in the more or less same period, and we still do that today. I'm postulating that could have occurred. We don't have evidence of that, but it could have occurred. Even if they didn't, they could still only need to hunt once every 2 days. Because meat, even in cold climates of Europe, would naturally preserve because it's just cold. And in cave areas, we found the depressions, which could likely have been cellars to preserve stuff.
Interesting.
So yeah. So that's one way that they had less time. They had a lot of time for leisure. That's why in the modern humans now, in the caves of Spain, France, Germany, as that the paintings on the caves and that, and in South Africa as well. They have the wall paintings that are beautiful. I have to visit them soon one day.
Hmm.
And while in agriculture, we only got to see those type of art again because there was the state had enough to distribute, and that's where distribution of food came in. The Marxist ideals, redistribution, but people, a group of individuals could specialized in those type of things, but in pre agriculture, the whole
Mhm.
group could do that, which I find fascinating. I love prehistory. There's so much nuances which history is okay. I'm not saying I don't like history. I know
I love it, but yeah, I'll
I know enough
forgive
of it
you
to
for saying it's only okay.
yeah, but yes, it is subjective because what we have is written by someone, but in the
Mhm.
material record, it's objective. It was written by no one. It was just there. Of course, you can now analyze it subjectively, but then you will fail in the peer review. So
Yeah.
that's one way. Well, I think I've bought enough of this. We can change the subject. What are you guys up to, for example?
Not a lot really.
Just in bed, enjoying the history lesson.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Oh, thank you. I sometimes I think I will get boring, because I find it's really, really fascinating, but I know other people don't necessarily do, and
No, not really.
I don't know if I'm that good of a communicator to show my enthusiasm and transmit my enthusiasm to people. That's my fault, not anyone else's. Yeah.
It's an underrated area of history because you don't have the records and you don't have all the writings about it, so people probably tend to
Yeah, and
ignore it a
we
little
don't
more.
know the kinds of personal stories and dramas that can
Mm.
hook people in. And
Yeah, into
No,
history.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's an underrated area of history. But what you mentioned a wee bit back that there was speculation about a fourth possible species that they had found in the DNA of the
Yeah.
Denisovans.
No. Our DNA, and our DNA.
Oh, and our DNA. Yes.
Yeah.
Is there speculation as to what form that fourth species took, or is there just not enough data to come to any conclusions about that?
Well, the only data we have is a few mysterious genes which we cannot trace to any of the known humans that we have analyzed. So we have the mitochondrial DNA of Denisovans. We don't have the other DNA because we just don't have enough material. They're digging ferociously in the areas I said. They can do it in Iran. I think they're excavating in Iran, but they can't do it in Iraq. They can't do it in Pakistan or Afghanistan. That's where I would suspect they would find something. But due to those two locations, possibly they are untouched, because I don't think Taliban and those idiots know how to dig. Even if they dig, they think it's a piece of rock, so they just throw it away. So that's bad. But in Russia, up and into China and all the former Soviet states, they are feverishly excavating. I'm not just so you guys know, we don't archaeologists don't, or paleoanthropologists don't dig randomly before they go onto the field. Now 3D satellite maps are employed. Ground penetrating radar is used. So we employ all the help that we can get, we ask for the help from other fields to first prepare. Then they go into the field to test it and see if it's correct or not. Like they're digging the whole valley of the Altai Mountains, all the valleys of the Altai Mountains, because there are a huge amount of caves there. They are feverishly digging each one, but they have to be super, super careful. That's why it takes so fucking long. It can take decades to dig one single cave, a small one. Imagine large ones. When I was in Australia, I went to a field excavation on the summer excavations. That dig had been going on for 25 years. And they were still only about a third of the way through the area.
Wow.
So it takes a hell of a long time. They can't. That's why the facts will arise in 10, 15 years from now. Some of it, but not all of it, because we could be lucky. We could. They could go into a cave, a previously untouched cave, start digging, and just find all the whole cultural sequence of Denisovians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the luck part of it. But actually, it's a lot of work goes into preparing an archaeological excavation, and then the analysis takes even longer. This picture that I used for my avatar was the reconstruction. They first that's the reconstruction that they used is not the actual skull. It's a reproduction of a skull in 3D printed now. They can 3D print. So they employ this by the forensic anthropology or forensic anthropologists or biologists that can reconstruct the features. We know the thickness of and the type of muscles in every species on Earth now, every mammal at least. So they can reconstruct everything. They know how much muscle mass was here, if the nose cavity is this, how the nose will be, etc. That's a photograph of the actual guy, the Neanderthal that died, to a 80% probability of it being accurate.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there, yeah. And the fourth one was discovered. The DNA was a mystery. It's a big question mark. Absolutely no one knows anything about it. So we hope to find the material. So when we extract the DNA to identify him. So yeah, it could be Homo erectus. There's also that possibility that fourth DNA sample is Homo erectus, because Florensis or Hobbit man evolved from directly from Homo erectus, and but the DNA that we have doesn't match the DNA of Homo florensis guy that I know. Haven't read, so I'm not speculating a little bit here. So I'll sort of stop. So I want to go into that because I don't know. I won't get into say I don't know the DNA. I know that there is a fourth mysterious DNA in that some part. I don't even know where they extracted that fourth DNA sample from. Whether it's from Central Asia, Asia, Europe, or India, or even the Americas. We don't know. Or Australia, for example.
Yeah.
There were two types. They found two types of distinct cow swamp and Lake Mungo. Cow swamp Aborigines were you can say they were brutish. That's not the word. They had bigger bone mass and slightly taller, while the Lake Mungo Aborigines were lighter built, even lighter built than the modern Aborigines are. But what's interesting is Cow Swamp is younger by about 20,000 years than Lake Mungo.
Interesting.
And I have absolutely no idea why. I don't know. Someone knows. My professors at La Trobe know, possibly know by now, but I don't know. I haven't kept up to date on that part.
Hmm.
Interesting. And while I was studying in Latrobe, one of my professors made a sort of a joke. Well, joke was more of a little bit of a speculation that the cow swamp, the skulls were thicker skulls because of possibly localized warfare, and there's that they were getting bashed in the head so much that they evolved into having thicker skulls, which is
Very.
weird. I don't know. I had nothing to say actually about that. So it's
Interesting.
and I miss Australia as well a lot for a lot of things. Not for many things, but I miss Australia for some things.
Such as?
The convenience of the stores were there. My cousin, family, most of my family still lives there.
Yeah.
The language. Yeah, I miss speaking English all the time. But then I don't miss the social justice pussyifying of the society that's happening.
Yeah.
Although you'd think there'd be less of that in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know, because we have it too, and I feel like in some ways I would think Australia has it less, and in some ways I would think they have it more, because they have more. I don't know. I feel like the individuals that are very into that kind of stuff have more prominence than any individuals here that are do.
Yeah.
But like overall, I think Australian society, like I think while there might be prominent individuals in Australia, like Clementine Ford,
Is that where she's from?
that are into this stuff,
Yes.
that we don't really have that kind of thing here.
No.
I feel like there are more people in just general Australian society that see her stuff and are like, this is stupid, than we have here. Like, there aren't sort of public figures that I can think of here that are well known for those kinds of opinions. But when they are expressed by just somebody, I feel like there's less. I feel like there's more acceptance of them here than there might be in Australia. Like in Australia, there's definitely a lot of people that accept it, but I feel like there's also a huge amount that don't. Whereas here, it seems like while there are those that don't, they're very kind of maligned.
It's not as militant then as in Australia.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be a good way of putting it.
Shit, that idiot that thought up the safe schools programs of children for primary schools and that in Australia, in Melbourne, Victoria. I think they're trying to implement it Australia-wide. That is the most horrendous form of child abuse which I can imagine, and it's already having some.
I've never heard of it.
What is that?
It's under the who made a good video about it. Gary Orson made one. Not just one, many more. So I think you guys check out his.
I'm not sub to him, but I'll go check it out. And
that's where I got the idea. The thing is, Gary Awesome is the one that I think shows the most because suit yourself. I haven't seen enough of his videos backwards to show that, and Rory hasn't as well. Also, I think Bering may have done something about that. Bering and Sugar Ticks, both of them may have done something. I'm trying to think of it, but yeah, it's basically this.
Chlamydia Ford, someone said.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, Chlamydia Ford, which is cool. She's a lesbian, right? She hates men.
Is she?
Yes, she looks like a man. She looks like
a man.
It makes
sense, though, not because I just think that anyone with these kinds of opinions is a lesbian, but because she does really seem to hate men to an extent that I can't imagine it being like, oh, I hate guys, except this one guy that I'm fucking. Like, she seems to just really hate them.
No, she's and she drew up this thing that base said, oh, you can't bully, safe space and all that shit, but they're teaching yes, Crazy Cat Gentleman said that's focused on the safe schools bullshit very well. Yes. Thank you, Crazy Cat Gentleman. the crux of it is basically feminizing schools. They are actually to the boys, blaming them for everything, and that's all their problems. Carrie has shown the articles of children going to home crying and all that shit, boys, and that it's okay to gender, that you're not a gendered at fucking pre-pubescent. In fact, there's a story that I read that this 4-year-old is being transitioned in Australia. I don't know, they didn't say where.
What?
Yes, that's exactly what. A 4-year-old, a fucking 4-year-old. They're transitioning her, the parents. Her or him, I don't know.
Is that even legal?
How can that kid can't even articulate what it feels?
Exactly. But they've hushed it up so well. I think Gary did that on it, a story on that. And I also read it somewhere on Daily Mail and one of them. But God,
that's like, when it comes to, you know, people that actually are experiencing gender dysphoria, which I think I think that can be a 4-year-old. I don't think people should put them on hormones or anything at that point. But you know, when it comes to people that are actually just experiencing that, I'm the most pro them that somebody could be in terms of actual policies I would support. But a 4-year-old, they can't.
Yeah, a 4-year-old is not capable of
they
making
can't
that
fully
decision.
express to you what they're thinking and feeling about this, and that's
to
crazy.
12, up to 12-year-old, up until puberty, children.
I don't think anything should be happening in terms of hormones, surgery before puberty, like let alone.
You guys know Based Mama?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a hangout with her, and I think we hung out where we discussed it. I think it was on mine. It was discussed. She has a daughter that for 3-4 years was playing like a boy, was saying, I'm a boy and that. She said, no, you're not. But she didn't do anything with it. She said, no, you're not. It'll pass. It did. It's a phase that they go through. They play. That's normal. Children play. They are.
Yeah.
The brain is only set during puberty when all the hormones.
And what I don't like is the non-binary thing that's happening. I mean, I know that some people are actually born intersex, but what I don't like is when there's somebody who there'll be something that they like that is not the stereotype for their sex, and they will think, oh, I'm non-binary. And I'm so glad that this wasn't around when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I wasn't really into a lot of the typical girly things. I preferred to build things with blocks, for example, than to like have a tea party with my dolls. And, you know, if I was hearing all of this stuff, I might have been like, oh, am I non-binary? But it wasn't just the blocks. There were a lot of other like boyish so-called things that I liked. And I might have been like, oh, does this mean I'm non-binary? No, it doesn't. It just means I have certain interests that don't conform to a stereotype. And that's fine, because everyone's an individual.
Binary is an oxymoron. Non-binary is nothing. You are binary. Biologically, we are binary. A non-binary, even if you're an what's that? Hermaphroditia. When you're born with both organs, that's not non-binary. You're still binary, but you have both organs.
Yeah.
But that's basically an unfused, fused twins that hasn't separated. That's where you get those conditions. We have both sexes in one. That's they're twins, and they're like you can see it a lot with what eyes of different color, chimeria, I think it's called. Yes, I also accept once you've reached adulthood, you don't identify, you don't feel right in your body. You feel you're of the opposite sex. Okay?
Yeah.
You transition, but you are transitioning to a sex.
The it's trans. You know.
Transitioning. You transition. You are a male. You transition to a female. That's binary.
Mhm.
You are a female, you transition to a male. That's binary. Now, everything else, personality trait, disorder.
Yeah.
Trait. It's not
Yeah.
gender, what they Tumblr gender. It's a personality. It's
Good
not. It's
old
nothing. It's a
Tumblr.
personality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thank
love
you,
Tumblr.
Ian.
That's
Yes. Yeah.
hilarious.
Hermaphrodite. I'll just answer Ian here. Hermaphrodite. Yeah. Where they. The term came from the Hermes, the god Hermes, where he had he was both male and female, had both organs and that. So snails and slugs and some other animals can sexes in them. They can be once a male or a female, and then it switch to male or female. That's what hermaphrodite means.
Yeah, and I don't like the people that say you're born with the sex of male, and they say I'm a transgender woman, but I don't want to take hormones, I don't want to have any surgeries, I don't want to start dressing in a stereotypically typically feminine way. I want to still appear as I currently appear, but I am a transgender woman. And I think, look, do what you want, but it's kind of offensive to people who really experience gender dysphoria to put
Blair
yourself in
White.
the same camp.
Yeah. Of a person who is sane, and she is a transgender woman.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
she's
identify
sane.
with her
She's
in
sane.
all manner of things, but she gets the she gets the fact that, like, this is being transgender. She's transitioned. She lives her life as a woman.
Yes, exactly. And even men that transition, women transition to men. Yes, they transitioned. They've accepted they were in the wrong body. They fixed that up. Now, Milo Stewart is
twat.
she, and Justin, whatever his name is, he is a he. I don't give a shit. If I see them in real life, I'll call them by their correct terms. I won't fucking go into these
I will
bullshit
call them.
pronouns.
See, here's the thing. I'm not trying to like attack you for saying that. I think that's whatever. Personally, I will not call Milo a he because they present as very feminine to me. He, they can say whatever they want, but they present as very feminine to me. And so I cannot,
Okay, but
it just doesn't sit right with me in my head to call her he.
him.
I just can't do it
understand.
because she comes
I
across
understand
feminine to me.
and I respect that. Yeah, but I
I will say they because I just don't want to be like what would come across to them as a dick for no reason. But I just think if you want to be androgynous, that's totally fine with me. I don't have any problem with that at all. But to say, I'm a male, I'm a he, I'm a man, no.
That's what Milo and Justin do.
Exactly, yeah. Then that's what I disagree with them on.
They're saying,
like,
yeah, they're
not,
saying that, but
you want
they're
people to, you come across as very feminine.
I don't mind
certain androgynous things about you, but overall you come across as feminine, and you want people to call you a he, and it's just not going to happen,
With me, it does. I will say, because even though it's a masculinized she, which Milo tries to present, still a she, and you can have masculinized personalities in females. Well, there's no problem in that. Lesbians, there, most of them, a lot of them, like that idiot that did the programming, the Safe Schools program. She identifies as a she, but she bloody looks like a man. So what? That's
yeah. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of women in my life who present in a very masculine way. They dress in clothes that are considered as to be clothes that males typically wear, and they just sort of act in a way that is considered stereotypically masculine. But yet they have been comfortable with being called she. They have always said they are a woman, and things like that. Yeah. And I'm like, that's fine. If you want to dress that way and act that way, that's great. You know, do whatever the fuck you want.
Well,
But they were still like, they were just like, you know, I'm a masculine woman, basically, or I'm an androgynous woman. That's fine.
that's fine with me. Their personality is balanced, and they what they outward appearance is nothing. But our society now, well, our society, some Western societies, and some sections of Western societies are basically letting the insane run the insane asylum, because accepting this many cases. I've seen enough videos and enough evidence to show that they are actual personality disorders, and they should be treated. And they should. That's about it. Okay, we've been on for close to 2 hours. I have to go and make lunch for me and my dad.
Okay.
We can wrap it up on my highly controversial stance on gender issues and that, and I will stand by them.
Less controversial than you
Yes, completely. Yeah. I am misogynist, sexist, bigoted, whatever. Except that they are only words to me. They mean absolutely nothing.
But not racist.
Yeah. No, because they can't call me racist because I've proven there are no races. So
yeah.
Exactly. I love archaeology. Anyway, Emma.
What do you call it? Ethnoist?
You're an ethnist.
No. There's nothing. It's bigoted. Just plain old bigoted, or being a fucking fucking dick.
Yeah.
If you hate another group of people, you're just a fucking dick. Nothing else.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
That's the simplest way of putting it.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay. Yep. Thank you both. I love you both. I love everyone. In fact, not everyone. You know what I mean. And thank you. It's a great honor to have you on my chat. I will try and make more, but it can only be possibly every couple of weeks because I work weekend on, weekend off. So.
Yeah, cool.
And this week is my.
Do you mind if I mirror this one on my channel?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Do it, please. Yes.
Right, cool.
I don't care. Well, my channel, you can download all my videos, and anyone can download my videos and mirror them.
Sweet ass. I'll be doing it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you again, both of you, and everyone in the chat. Bye bye till Tuesday. Tuesday I have my Tuesday 10 p.m. London time. I have my scheduled live stream. I haven't thought of a topic yet, so it'll come to me.
I won't be there because I have this annoying thing called a job. But
yes, I know.
I sometimes listen in while I'm working, so that's good.
Okay, thank you all, and thank you people in the chat. Bye bye.